I'm Reverend R. Ken Turner from Unity of Chicago South, and I am so very happy to be with you this morning to bring you this message. Because of the nature of this weekend, I want to incorporate in today's message 3 quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. But first, let me set the stage for the first quote. Picture yourself traveling on a dangerous road and knowing that to stop may be one of the most dangerous things you can do. So you want to keep going, keep moving. That sets the stage for this first statement, quote, by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He says, the first question which the priest and the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But the Good Samaritan reversed the question and said, if I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? You see, it's not the level of your holiness, nor your creed or your religion. It is the acknowledgement of an interconnected humanity that allows us to act on and extend ourselves to help others in the midst of challenging conditions. Now, while living and acting inside your own belief bubble may demonstrate commitment, acting from your humanity often requires a demonstration of courage. As simplistic as the golden rule of doing unto others as I do to myself seems, it is truly an action of agape love. When we are able to not only see ourselves in others, but take positive action to implement the idea the golden rule conveys, we are acting from the position of the Good Samaritan, not focused on the challenge faced by helping, but concerned more with the weight of their heart if they don't help. As we stand at the threshold of the fate of America's democracy, the question becomes, where are the US senators with the heart of the Good Samaritan? What Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said to an audience in Montgomery, Alabama in 1957 poses today's second question. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, he said, what are you doing for others? Now, in Dr. King's, in his eloquency, he could have easily phrased this question differently if he chose. He could have said, what are you doing for your friends? Or what are you doing for people who look like you? Or even, what are you doing for your voters? Or better yet, what are you doing for those of your own status? The answer that would ring out from the majority of the men and women that make up our US Senate could be pared down to the simple answer of everything. I believe that the others of Dr. King and the others of those politicians are not the same others. The others of the politicians is a more homogeneous group. The others referred to by Dr. King composed a nation called America. See, the natural word others implies possibility of them not being like you. Unfortunately, 65 years later, this question is still relevant on a nation level, and a nation that some people say is the greatest in the world. Our final MLK quote is this: an individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. How can many of the members of the Senate be convinced of this? With all that many of them have amassed, all the possessions they have, and the generational wealth that some have garnered, how can they be convinced they are not living? Fortunately, there are some in that body that incorporate in their practice the idea of common sense representation, one that is good for the nation and its people. Representation that, if implemented by more of the members, would move the body to more of the living status, which Dr. King referred. Now, while Dr. King's statements will continue to be quoted well beyond this weekend by both the sincere and the insincere alike, and while there are those that walk in his footsteps, we must remember there was only one original. But there was something in him that supported his belief that he could help change a region, a nation, even this world. He had a vision of what could be, what should be, but had not yet become. It was unknown how the change was to happen, but there was a deep, abiding faith that it would occur. Though difficult to join or pinpoint the moment that one comes into full realization of what seems to be their life purpose, there are often some hints along the way. There is sometimes a precious nugget that the novice can grab and use to enrich their own life purpose. Dr. King, a student of the ministry, a son of a minister, it would be fair to imagine that the Bible was one of the texts young Martin was familiar with. And as we look to the allegory in Genesis, we read, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." From this beginning of the formless and the empty darkness came all that we have. Now, many of us think of the all in a very tangible way, like the birds and the sky and man that was mentioned all the way through verse 31 in that first chapter. These verses are truly part of an allegory teaching faith in the unseen. Remember, it was formless and empty. See, true faith is beyond quid pro quo of the self-centered politician. We may start out with just a thought of an ideal of fairness throughout humanity, of helping one another, of raising to the limit that Dr. King spoke of. But without faith in the possibility of it coming to pass, we are lost. And finally, let's revisit the words of our poet, Mary Oliver, to remind ourselves there is activity of growth, of progress beyond our senses. She writes, "But I cannot hear anything. I can't hear anything. I can't see anything." And then she concludes with, "One morning in the leafy green ocean, the honeycomb of the corn's beautiful body is sure to be there." We go forth doing our work, putting in our effort, supported by the faith that the harvest will surely come. The question is not the coming of the harvest, but instead the focus of what types of seeds are we planting. No matter the question of the harvest, like Dr. King, we are to continue planting our seeds of positivity today, tomorrow, and always. God bless. And remember, faith in the unseen, it is moving, it is moving. And when we hold on to the fact that no matter what we're doing, there's a power moving forward, we are at one with the universe. God bless. Breathe. Just for a moment, breathe in your faith in the unseen. Know that we go forth in the oneness of humanity, a humanity that is now awakened. In our hearts and in our minds, we carry this connection into our homes and communities. We are thankful for the divine presence around and through us. We hold the faith of this divine light that is expressing as each of us in this moment, at this time, and we are grateful. Amen. And so it is.